Archaeology is a fascinating line of work, but it definitely comes with its fair share of gruesome, chilling, or downright terrifying discoveries. From ancient curses left on tomb walls, to the ruins of an ancient city that points to the disaster as the reason for its abandonment. Let's dive right in. Here are the top 10 unsettling hidden messages found in ancient ruins. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have KV-55. This is a tomb that is referred to by a number rather than a name because we don't actually know who lies inside of this tomb. While this tomb had its modern discovery in 1907, we still haven't quite found the answers surrounding this mystery. To make things a little more eerie, while the walls of the actual tomb are bare, which is bizarre, as you walk down the steps towards the tomb, you'll notice that there are some markings leading up to it. You'll see inscribed on the wall of the entrance the words which can be translated to, quote, "The evil one shall not live again." If this wasn't enough to give an unsettling feeling, the coffin inside of the tomb has been desecrated, with part of the face having been removed. So all in all, we don't know a lot about what's going on down there, but it doesn't seem good. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Ancient Curse. For this one, we have a good old-fashioned curse that was unleashed from the inside of a tomb. Okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there really was a curse found on the inside of this tomb. The tomb of Ankh-Mahor, who was a pharaoh's official who is thought to have lived around 4,000 years ago during Egypt's 6th dynasty, was an above-ground tomb that was shaped like a rectangular box. Inside of the tomb, they found a curse inscribed that warned anyone who dared to disturb it. The curse, roughly translated, states that anything a trespasser, quote, might do against this, my tomb, the same shall be done to your property. It then goes on to warn the trespasser of his knowledge of spells and secret magic, and it threatens to fill impure intruders with a fear of seeing ghosts. These kinds of curses have been found in other tombs, and while they certainly are nothing like the ones depicted in horror movies about mummies, it still might be a little unnerving to those unearthing this discovery. In our number 8 spot today, we have Chapter 17. Archaeologists had a large and very exciting discovery as the 4,200-year-old funerary temple of Queen Nerit, who is the wife of Pharaoh Teti, was found. The recently excavated Skara necropolis was stocked full of incredible treasures. Inside there were over 50 wooden sarcophagi, there was a board game, a riverboat with rowers, statues, wooden masks, a shrine dedicated to the god of the dead, Anubis, and there was a burial sanctuary dedicated to the queen. And while all of these finds are truly unbelievable, one of the most fascinating to researchers was a scroll from the Book of the Dead. The 13-foot-long papyrus scroll, which was referred to as Chapter 17 of the Book of the Dead, acts as a chilling guide to the afterlife. In our number 7 spot today, we have Skara Brae. This is an area that is located in Scotland, and it was found in an exceptionally surprising way. In 1850, there was a huge storm that hit Scotland, and it was so bad that around 200 people passed away from it. The next day, however, once the storm had passed, residents of the Orkney Isles began to notice that a part of a cliff had dislodged, but it uncovered a sort of hidden settlement. Tests were able to date this site back from 3,200 BC to 2,200 BC, and it was shown to have been inhabited for about 600 years. There were round stone homes here, and the roofs were made out of whalebone and peat. The design of this little city suggested that there wasn't a hierarchy, but rather a group of people living peacefully as farmers, herdsmen, and traders. While this site is small, the houses are in quite great shape for the amount of time it's been. This little settlement is Europe's most complete Neolithic village, and while it is older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids, it's been called the Scottish Pompeii because of how well preserved it is. No one is exactly sure why the residents of this village abandoned it, which is a really unsettling realization made by researchers. Signs point to perhaps a change in climate that might be responsible for the sudden disappearance, but some signs also point to a storm that might have been the reason those living here had to leave in haste, which is deduced by how all of their belongings were just left behind. In our number 6 spot today, we have the scratch marks. When archaeologists opened a tomb they had located dated all the way back to the Qing dynasty, they certainly did not expect to find what was inside. They weren't shocked to find the remains of a person, but what was shocking was the state that she was in. Her skin had turned black like charcoal, charcoal, and she had a terrifying expression on her face with her mouth wide open like she had been screaming. To make matters even worse, apparently there were scratch marks that she had left on the inside. Further research showed that it is believed that this woman suffered from a difficult birth, and during labor she fainted. Since childbirth used to be way more dangerous of an activity, it is thought that her family believed she had passed away, and they then buried her, and of course, you know the rest. What a horrifying story for everyone involved, and to see these signs of her trying to escape is simply just awful. In our number 5 spot today, we have the Tomb of the Sunken Skulls. In 2009, archaeologists were excavating the bottom of a prehistoric dry lake bed in Sweden when they began to find the foundations of some sort of stone structure. Yeah, we're talking about a tomb found at the bottom of a lake. Further research began to unearth the usual things like animal bones, stone tools, and that sort of thing, but they also uncovered skulls belonging to 10 people that are believed to have lived 8,000 years ago. They found another 11th skull buried deep within the mud, and when they uncovered it, they found that fragments of another one of the skulls had been deliberately lodged inside of this 11th skull. Almost all of the skulls were jawless and were mounted on stakes. There are a few theories as to why the skulls were here, and some people believe that this site may have been used for secondary burials, but others believe that this tomb belonged to enemies that were killed in combat, and the skulls were there to send a message. Either way, researchers were rightfully shocked when they unearthed this tomb. In our number 4 spot today, we have the ancient Karen. Alright, this really isn't very terrifying. This is probably the item that made me laugh the most while I was researching for this video, and it comes to us from 1750 BC. This is a clay tablet that features a letter written on it. The letter is written in Akkadian cuneiform, and it was sent to the ancient city-state and was made by a customer named Nani, who was sending it to a merchant named Ia Nasir. Basically, this is the oldest known customer complaint letter. Imagine how much work this took. Like, they couldn't just go online to a 24/7 chat and complain. They had to find a big stone tablet, carve out the Logo Sibyllic script, and then somehow get it delivered to the merchant. Like, that's a next level Karen right there. Basically, I guess this merchant guy would travel around selling his copper, and on one particular occasion he agreed to sell some to Nanny. Nanny sent his servant out with some money to pick up this copper, but when he got there it wasn't good enough quality, so he didn't end up buying it. So now Nanny was irritated and wanted to complain about the poor copper quality, and he complained that his servant was also treated rudely during the entire ordeal. He said that at the time of his writing he had not received any copper, but that he had paid the money for it. I don't know about you guys, but I kinda like the drama of ancient Mesopotamia. In our number 3 spot today, we have the ancient tomb art. This tomb comes to us from a long time ago, and it was located in the Shamir Heights in northern Israel. The tomb is large, and it is made up of 400 tons of boulders, and it stretches 60 feet wide. This chamber is said to date back 4,000 years, which is a shocking discovery because that means that humans may have been a part of an organized society in this area all those years ago. There are many paintings that have been found inside of this tomb, which made this the first time art had been documented inside one of these chambers in the Middle East, which is incredible, but we just haven't exactly been able to figure out what they depict yet. Inside of the chamber there were the remains of 3 people. One of the most fascinating parts of this discovery is that there are these lines carved into the ceilings that are all connected to one arc, but we just don't know what it means. In our number 2 spot today, we have Heracleion. Also known as Thonis to the Egyptians, this was an ancient city that was located near the mouth of the Nile River. Greek legend says that this was the city where Hercules took his first steps into Africa, as well as the place where Paris hid Helen before the Trojan War began. This is all to say that, to legend, this city was super important, but aside from legend, no one knew where this place was or how to find it. In 1999, after 5 years of searching, archaeologist Frank Gaudio located the ruins of the city underwater as they had been submerged in the ocean. After finding this location, many things were revealed. The most unsettling of all is the discovery of what happened to the ancient city. As it turns out, just over 2,000 years ago, there was either an earthquake, a tsunami, or a combination of the two that hit the city and submerged it underwater. It used to be believed that Thonis and Heracleion were 2 separate places, and that both were located on what is now Egyptian mainland, but neither of those things turned out to be true. Since then, excavations and explorations of the ancient city have taken place, and it was stocked full of some incredibly cool treasures from thousands of years ago. In 2010, a type of ancient Nile riverboat was found here, and even just recently in August of 2021, it was announced that wicker baskets that contained fruits of the duum palm tree as well as grape seeds that date back to the early 4th century BC had been found among the ruins. In our number 1 spot today we have the Droughts. Ancient drawings and writings were found covering the walls of the Dayu cave, which is located in central China, and a lot of them detail different droughts and such that were experienced during the time of their writing. According to these drawings, people would come to the cave for either water or to pray for rain in the times of drought. The writings reveal some of the horrors that the people of the time experienced while going through these periods of drought, including severe starvation, social instability, and conflict between government and citizens. While these cave writings show us a difficult time in history, researchers say that the stalagmites that were also found in the cave may show a grim prediction for the future. Since stalagmites are formed by dripping water and they form rings, sort of like how trees do, these rings can give us insights into different things. Based on the patterns of these rings, scientists were able to corroborate the things that the cave writings were saying, but they were also able to make a grim prediction for the future, which is that unfortunately the region may again see one of these catastrophic droughts, this time in the late 2030s. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Bye!